We need to talk about responsibility, because we have all these tech billionaires telling us that AI will lead to mass unemployment or even to the end of the world, and at the same time they're still racing to be the first past the post towards artificial general intelligence. While at the same time we're letting all of this happen. We have come to the point where AI experts are regularly telling us that we're quickly moving towards extinction, and usually this would sound like some very big news, but it almost sounds normal at this point. Elon Musk said advanced artificial intelligence poses a non-zero risk of eliminating humanity altogether. Sam Altman said that even though AI will probably lead to the destruction of the world, at least there will be some great companies built in the process. It's nice to know where his priorities lie. At the same time, there seem to be no large-scale protests against any of this, and that's not normal. Take a look at these anti-nuclear protests of the 20th century. Protests against nuclear proliferation happened all over the world. Hundreds of thousands of people were mobilized, and political parties were started just for the sake of this issue alone. It all just feels so different now, like we all feel apathetic at this point, like we don't believe that protest could ever actually change the situation. It seems like we have become numb, like we don't believe that protest actually has a significant effect anymore, at least not to the extent that we believed that protest against the nukes could have an effect last century. Now, part of this probably has to do with social media, which has distanced us from the actual physical world in the sense that we don't feel like we can actually impact the real world anymore. Here, I believe it's important to contrast Instagram activism, so for example the story posts, with protesting and other forms of activism. We don't really see any practical examples in which the Instagram kind actually has an effect on policy. It seems like generally to actually signal that you care about something and to bring about change, you need to show that you care by putting in time and effort, for example by walking in a protest march. And even though it's very urgent right now, it seems a lot more vague than the nuclear weapons. You see, the nukes were in the hands of a few governments and they were able to quite immediately wipe out humanity altogether. It was an easy target and you knew who you would want to protest towards. With AI, this is all made vague, foggy and unclear, but at the same time we do know who are developing the most advanced AI models. And we know who are building bunkers for themselves, may a case of mass extinction actually at some point occur. And we know as well who are freezing their sperm or even themselves after they die in order to come back at some point for some sweet eternal life. However, at the end of the day, the fact that we don't have a very clear overview shouldn't deter us from taking action in any way, shape or form. We should not be reducing ourselves to pure observers. We cannot simply look from a distance as this whole disaster is unfolding and we feel like we have no control over anything that's happening whatsoever. That's a very depressing way of going about. That would at least mean that we are accepting that we have no control, no influence, and probably in the future also no job. We should not be reducing ourselves to the role of a passive consumer. And the same counts for those that are creating the AI, though from a different perspective. You'll often hear how they reduce themselves to their role, saying things like, if I don't make artificial general intelligence, this other person will, and that will be more dangerous. Or if I don't do it, somebody will anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Because if we all just identify with our role, we as the consumers, as the people that just observe as everything unfolds, and those that are developing the AI as almost victims of the situation as well, we are finding ourselves in a state of bad faith. Let me explain what I mean by the term bad faith. The term was introduced by Jean-Paul Sartre in the 20th century, and it describes a state of self-deception in which people are actively running away from the responsibility that life puts on them. It ignores our freedom and our responsibility, and it reduces us to an object that is undergoing changes instead of a free subject that is able to influence them. Basically, we simply reduce ourselves to objects, to our role. And this works for literal objects like a table. A table cannot choose to be anything else, but we can. We have the freedom to choose what to do as humans. So it is bad faith on the behalf of those tech billionaires to just push the blame forward and say that they don't influence the actual infrastructure. They are able to try to collaborate to halt artificial intelligence development and make sure that we actually go towards a safe future. But it is also bad faith on our behalf if we just believe that we are some form of observer and that we don't have any influence on any of this happening. So assuming that we have zero influence over the future of artificial intelligence and thereby just accepting everything that's happening is a case of bad faith. And maybe it's correct, maybe we're not able to significantly influence anything, but assuming it is doing away with any potential influence that we could have in the future at all. Keeping these people responsible is at least worth a shot. Keeping these companies responsible and these governments responsible that are in charge of the development of artificial intelligence is worth a shot. The alternative, doing nothing, is by default a dangerous endeavor because we know the way that things are developing right now. If we all do nothing together, at least we will know that we did nothing to influence the trajectory of the future. That's for sure. Alright, thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts on this, you disagree with me or anything else, please leave it in the comments. I would love to hear it. And if you are still watching anyway, why don't you drop me a like and subscribe? Ciao!